Get in the game with NFL Sunday Ticket from Rev TV. You'll get every game every Sunday afternoon from around the league. Plus, NFL Sunday Ticket gives you up to 8 live games on one screen with Game Mix. You'll get that died and woke up in football heaven experience when you upgrade to NFL Sunday Ticket Deluxe, including Red Zone, the channel dedicated to every scoring play from every game. And if you add Rev TV HD to NFL Sunday Ticket Deluxe, you'll be entered to win big weekly prizes with NFL Wildcard Mania. Get in the game with NFL Sunday Ticket.
Tragedy strikes Elizabeth Estates as an infant dies in a house fire. A shooting victim dies in hospital. The Urban Renewal co-chair suggests the F&M politicized crime. Plus, thousands of students prepared to go back to school. We've got those stories and a whole lot more tonight. I'm Bonnie Toot and NB12 starts now. Topping news tonight, the charred remains of a baby boy were removed from a house in Elizabeth Estates last night. Police are trying to determine how that fire started and who was responsible for supervising the baby and another child. Kyle Joaquin has the story.
Police have launched an investigation to determine how a fire started last night, killing an infant. Among the many questions to be answered, were these children home alone? And if so, are there any charges that are going to be filed? A family is heartbroken tonight after an infant's body was found burnt beyond recognition last night. Superintendent Stephen Dean says police received information after 10 p.m. of a structural fire on St. Vincent Avenue in the Elizabeth Estates area. When firefighters arrived on the scene, they found the home engulfed in flames. But it wasn't until after they extinguished the blaze that they discovered the remains of the child, who Dean says may not have been any older than 5 months.
It is believed that the remains are that of an infant. We are in the preliminary stages of our investigation. We are understanding that another child was also in the home, but that child was able to leave the home safely. We cannot tell whether these persons were in the company of an adult. Firefighters along with crime scene officers are on the ground doing the preliminary investigations, and we will determine what happened here tonight.
According to Dean, a 6-year-old boy was able to escape the fire. On the scene, distraught family members wept. Meanwhile, nearby residents say the children were home alone. Police confirmed that the infant was found in a bedroom in the back of the house. At the scene, NB12 was told the mother of those children was reportedly at work when the fire occurred, and the children were supposed to be in the care of another adult. Dean could not confirm or deny those claims, but said if their investigation reveals that the children were indeed home alone, then charges will be filed.
We will have to use each case is being investigated on its own merit.
Not a criminal offense in the Bahamas.
We will have to use each case is being investigated on its own merit. We'll have to determine the facts in this matter to determine whether we can prefer some criminal charges in this matter. But it's a serious matter when parents or little children are left unattended. There are incidents of hinging on child neglect. A lot of things can emanate from this, and I'm sure their charges can emanate if it is found that persons have left these children intentionally by themselves, because these children cannot fend for themselves. There's no way a 6-year-old and an infant can fend for themselves.
Now, the cause of the fire is unknown, but Dean says the security of children should be taken seriously.
While we are here, we are putting this warning out to parents who have young children. Please keep your eye on your children at all times. Leave them always with a responsible adult. And don't take the young people for chance. Don't take nothing for chance. We cannot take anything for granted. We are not saying that persons were left unattended in this incident, but we thought it was fitting that we put out this warning to parents that you please secure your little infant children.
An autopsy will be performed to determine the cause of death of the infant. Reporting for NB12, I'm Kyle Joaquin.
The 29-year-old man gunned down on Kwaku Street shortly after leaving a relative's funeral on Saturday has died. His death pushes this year's murder count to 84 and takes the total number of people killed over the weekend to 6. According to police reports, the Peter Street resident was shot by the occupants of a Toyota bearing a Commonwealth Drugs logo. Police Superintendent Stephen Dean says authorities are now searching for suspects.
We have launched an active investigation, and we are appealing to members of the public once again, and particularly in this matter and all other matters. Someone know what happened, someone hear what happened, someone know who that criminal is.
Prompted by the 6 murders recorded since Saturday, Dean says police have beefed up anti-crime operations and arrested 50 suspects for various serious offenses.
Because that person who you may be holding back could be the very person who could shoot somebody else or who can cause your death. Based on what has been happening, we have mounted numerous operations throughout New Providence. You have seen over the past 2 evenings, we have had major operations led by the Assistant Commissioners Leon Bettel. And thus far, we have put in at least over 50 persons who are arrested for various serious offenses. They are in custody. Police will continue to reassure members of the public that their safety is of paramount importance for us.
In other crime news, police now say robbery was the motive behind Monday's murder of Prime Minister Perry Christie's press secretary, Latori Mackey. The 37-year-old deputy director of Bahamas Information Services was found slumped over the steering wheel of his government-issued vehicle on Market Street. He had a gunshot wound to the neck. Head of the Central Detective Unit, Superintendent Paul Roll told NB12, authorities believe Mackey's killers attempted to rob him. Mackey was reportedly found with thousands of dollars in his possession. However, Roll did not confirm this. 4 men have been arrested in connection with his murder. Roll could not say if or when those suspects would be charged. Former National Security Minister Cynthia Mother Pratt charged today that both the Progressive Liberal Party and Free National Movement are wrong for making crime political, but suggested that the FNM started it by attacking her when she was National Security Minister.
Do you think they were political when they were attacking me from the platform on R. Bailey Park? Yeah. Okay, so I rest my case. That's where it started. That's where it started.
Pratt said no one person or political party is responsible for this country's crime problem, but suggested that the Free National Movement made it a political football when the party attacked her almost daily on the campaign trail. In the run-up to the 2007 election, Pratt, who was National Security Minister at the time, was repeatedly accused of being too soft on crime, and the PLP government was criticized for its inability to bring crime under control. She says if it hadn't been started then, it wouldn't have continued.
I was sitting in the chair from the platform of R. Bailey Park. Okay. Almost every night. Where was Mother Pratt? Somewhere praying. Somewhere in some church praying. Even was mocked because I was praying to my God. Don't forget that. I don't say very much, but a lot is inside of me that I have not forgotten, and God hadn't forgotten either. I've forgiven them because I know it's a game they play.
The FNM isn't the only political party accused of politicizing crime, though. In the run-up to the 2012 general election, the PLP was roundly criticized for erecting murder billboards throughout New Providence. The billboards read, "Under the FNM government, 490-plus murders." Pratt acknowledged that was wrong.
Both were wrong. Both were wrong. It doesn't make it right. Who did it? It's wrong from the beginning. That's my point. If it hadn't started, it would not have been continued. I was attacked. It was wrong then. It's wrong now.
Her comments come one day after FNM Deputy Leader Loretta Butler Turner said Prime Minister Perry Christie is in over his head and clueless on crime. 6 people have been killed since Saturday. However, the former Deputy Prime Minister says it's time to stop pointing fingers.
Crime should not be kicked around like a political ball. It is for all of us to be concerned and quit passing the buck. And let's see what we can do.
Meantime, the Democratic National Alliance blasted Prime Minister Perry Christie today over his recent comments on crime, saying it's clear Christie is asleep at the wheel. Jasmine Brown reports.
Responding to the comments made by the Prime Minister, DNA executives insisted that not only is the Prime Minister asleep at the wheel, they also say despite the many crime strategies announced over the past 2.5 years, it's clear that the Christie administration cannot solve the crime problem. Deputy Leader Chris Mortimer says it's been nearly 2.5 years since the Progressive Liberal Party won the general election, with promises of addressing key issues such as crime. However, he says the problem persists. Mortimer insisted the Christie administration has repeatedly failed to keep Bahamians safe. Mortimer also questioned why the government is only now re-examining its crime strategies after one of their own became a victim of crime.
Have you seen the headlines? Look at this. Murder up 15%. They told us they had the answers. They told us they knew how to get crime down. Operation Ceasefire, Urban Renewal 2.0. I mean, you should expect Urban Renewal 2.5 or 3.0 now. Safe zones, all sorts of things. They ran commercials all over my TV talking about they had the answers.
6 people have been killed since Saturday, pushing this year's murder count to 84. Christie admitted that the government has a lot of work to do to reduce crime in the country and said his administration will go back to the drawing board with its plan to fight crime. He suggested that Bahamians should be concerned that the carnage is not limited to gang retaliation. DNA Deputy Chairman Ethric Bowe says the Christie administration should place crime at the top of its agenda.
To say that he is going back to the drawing board and going back to review the crime strategies to see how they're working says he does not have his hands on the wheel. If you're the leader, you're supposed to know what's going on with your most important problem every day. Crime is so important. If he was less impotent in terms of governing, he would know what he needs to know. He wouldn't need to go to the drawing board because he would be at the drawing board every day. That's so important.
Mortimer says if the DNA was in office, it would do a number of things differently, including not spending millions on agricultural projects.
We wouldn't have taken $100 million in Bamsey. Why? Because if crime keeps going the way it is, there won't be much Bahamians left to eat the food coming out of Bamsey. We would have spent $100 million making sure that the courts work. We'd have made sure we'd had money for the police force. Those are the things that have to happen, structurally have to happen, if we are serious about making sure our country becomes safe.
The DNA also suggested a greater commitment from the legislative arm of the government, re-examining the prison system, and better management of police resources. Reporting for NB12, I'm Jasmine Brown.